a baby set adrift on a river, hidden inside a basket of reeds, sent away by his own mother so he could live. Decades later, that same baby would stand before the most powerful ruler on earth and demand the freedom of an entire enslaved nation. This is the story of Moses. A story of impossible rescue, a voice speaking from fire, and a sea that had no business splitting in two. If you have ever felt too small, too flawed, or too afraid for the calling in front of you, this story was written for you. Stay until the end. Centuries after Joseph had saved Egypt from famine, his descendants, the Israelites, had grown into a vast nation living within Egypt's borders, multiplying generation after generation. But the Pharaoh who remembered Joseph's kindness was long dead and long forgotten, and a new king now ruled who saw only a threat where his ancestors had once seen a blessing. Fearful that this foreign nation had grown too numerous and too strong, Pharaoh forced the Israelites into brutal slavery, working them without mercy under the desert sun, building his cities and monuments brick by brick with their bare hands. And when the suffering was not enough to slow their growth, Pharaoh gave a chilling command to his people. Every Hebrew baby boy was to be thrown into the Nile River the moment he was born. One Hebrew mother, desperate to save her newborn son from Pharaoh's death sentence, hid him for 3 months, muffling his cries, praying no soldier would hear him through the walls. When she could hide him no longer, she wove a small basket from papyrus reeds, sealed it carefully with tar and pitch to keep it afloat, and gently placed her baby inside, setting him adrift on the very river that was meant to kill him. His older sister, Miriam, followed along the riverbank at a distance, heart pounding, watching to see what would happen to her baby brother. The basket drifted slowly downstream toward the exact place where Pharaoh's own daughter came each morning to bathe. When the princess parted the reeds and found the crying infant inside, something in her heart softened instantly, despite knowing exactly whose child this must be. Defying her own father's decree without hesitation, she chose to raise the child as her own, right inside the palace walls. She named him Moses, drawn out of the water. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's own palace, raised with privilege while his true people suffered in chains just beyond the palace walls. One day, watching an Egyptian overseer beating a Hebrew slave without mercy, something inside Moses snapped. In a moment of rage, he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. When Pharaoh learned what he had done, Moses fled for his life into the wilderness, leaving behind the palace, his identity, and everything he thought he knew about who he was. For 40 years, he lived quietly as a shepherd in the land of Midian, tending someone else's flock beneath a wide desert sky. Then, on an ordinary afternoon while tending his father-in-law's flock near Mount Horeb, Moses noticed something impossible in the distance. A small desert bush engulfed in flame, yet never burning up, never turning to ash, never being consumed at all. Curious, he stepped closer to see this strange sight, and a voice suddenly called out to him from the fire itself. Moses, Moses, do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. God spoke to him directly from the flames, revealing a plan Moses could never have imagined for himself. Return to Egypt and lead his enslaved people out of bondage and into freedom. Moses, terrified and painfully aware of his own limitations, protested again and again, offering excuse after excuse. Who am I to do this? They will never believe me. I have never been a good speaker, not even now. But God simply answered him patiently, I will be with you. That is enough. Moses returned to Egypt and stood before Pharaoh, inside the very palace he had once called home, and spoke words that would change the course of history. Let my people go. Pharaoh scoffed at him and refused. his heart hardened with pride and with fear of losing the labor force that built his empire. So God sent a series of devastating plagues upon Egypt, one after another, each one more severe than the last. The river turned to blood. Swarms of frogs and locusts overran every house. Painful boils covered the skin of every Egyptian, and 3 full days of impenetrable darkness swallowed the land. Time after time, Pharaoh seemed ready to relent, promising freedom the moment the suffering paused, only to change his mind and harden his heart once the plague lifted. 9 plagues came and went, each one a direct challenge to the false gods of Egypt, and still Pharaoh would not let them go. The 10th and final plague was the most devastating of all, and the one that finally broke Pharaoh's resistance. God instructed the Israelites to sacrifice a lamb and mark their doorframes with its blood, so that death would pass over their homes that night while striking the firstborn son in every Egyptian household, from the poorest servant to Pharaoh's own son inside the palace. This single night became known as Passover, a memory so significant that the Israelites would carry it and celebrate it for thousands of years afterward, generation after generation. Grief-stricken and utterly broken, Pharaoh finally summoned Moses in the middle of the night and relented before dawn even arrived. "Get up, get out," he told Moses, his voice hollow. "Take your people and your flocks and go, and may your God bless you as you leave." After 400 years of slavery, the Israelites walked free at last, carrying only what they could gather in a single desperate, sleepless night. But Pharaoh's heart hardened once more the moment his grief turned back into pride. He gathered his finest chariots and his entire army and pursued the fleeing Israelites into the wilderness, trapping them against the shore of the Red Sea with mountains on either side and nowhere left to run. The people panicked, terrified, crying out that they had only been freed to die in the desert instead. But Moses stretched his staff out over the water, exactly as God had commanded, and the sea split apart before their very eyes, walls of water rising high on either side, revealing dry ground stretching out beneath their feet. The entire nation walked straight through the middle of the sea on solid ground, children and elders and everything they owned. And when Pharaoh's army followed them into the very same path, the walls of water crashed back down, closing the way behind them forever and ending Egypt's pursuit for good. Moses never felt qualified for what he was called to do. He doubted his voice, his worth, and his ability from the very beginning, standing barefoot before a burning bush, making excuse after excuse. And yet God did not choose Moses because he was ready. God chose him and made him ready along the way. Maybe you feel exactly like Moses did, unqualified, afraid, certain someone else would do it better than you. But the same God who split a sea for a nation of runaway slaves is not intimidated by your weakness. Sometimes the calling comes first, and the courage is given only one step at a time. If this story reminded you that you don't need to feel ready to be called, subscribe to Stone and Sling and join us as we bring these ancient stories to life, one video at a time. Which story should we tell next? Let us know in the comments below.